You know, have you ever heard of a number that seems to be, I don't know, woven right into the fabric of the universe itself? A number so fundamental that some of the greatest physicists in history have been completely obsessed with it. Okay, let's get into this because we're talking about one of the biggest, most fascinating mysteries in all of science. That number is 137. Well, to be super precise, it's about 1 over 137. This is the fine structure constant. It literally governs the strength of electromagnetism. You know, the force that holds atoms together, that makes light possible, the thing that basically shapes our entire reality. And here's the cool part. It's a dimensionless number. It's a pure value. It doesn't matter if you're using meters or feet or whatever, it's always the same. It feels less like a measurement and more like a secret code handed down from the universe. So the standard scientific view, right, is that constants like this are the absolute bedrock of reality. They're seen as these objective, unchangeable facts about the cosmos that we humans just discover. They're not up for debate, they just are. They're the pillars holding up everything we know about physical law. But that begs a really interesting question. What if that's not the whole story? I mean, what if the magic of 13 isn't something we found, but something something we kind of created? And if you follow that thought, oh man, it changes everything. And this is where it starts to get really wild. You see, you don't just go out into the woods and find the number 137 written on a tree. It's not like measuring the temperature outside. The fine structure constant actually comes out of a very specific mathematical formula. Think of it like a recipe designed by us. So here's that recipe. You start with the fundamental charge of an electron, and then you combine it with a whole bunch of other famous constants from physics. You've got Planck's constant in there, which runs the quantum world, and of course the speed of light, the universe's ultimate speed limit. Each one of these is a distinct ingredient that we chose to put into this calculation. Just think about what that means for a second. The number 137 only pops out because of this exact arrangement. We, as scientists, decided to combine these specific terms in this specific order. It's a human convention, a system we all agreed on. It's not like the universe handed us this formula on a stone tablet. This brings us to a really powerful idea from philosophy called contingency. We're going to step away from just physics for a moment and talk about how we know what we know. The argument here is that while 13.7 is true, it wasn't necessary. It could have been a totally different number. So what does contingency actually mean? It just means that something is true because of choices that were made in the past. Here's a simple way to think about it. The rules of chess. A bishop moves diagonally. That's true, right? But it's not a law of nature. It's true because somebody, way back when, just decided that how the bishop would move. Its truth is contingent on that choice. And this right here, this is the real aha moment. On the left, you've got our standard formula that gives us 1 over 137. But what if we'd made a different choice? What if physicists a century ago had decided to, say, just absorb that 4 pi term into the main constant? They totally could have done that. The physics, the actual math, it all still works perfectly. Now get this. If they had done that, the fundamental physics of how the universe works would be exactly the same. Electrons would do their thing, light would travel at the same speed, but our famous magic number would be completely different. It might be 1 over 1722 or some other number. This proves that the specialness of 137 is tied to our definition of it, not just to nature itself. Okay, so let's zoom out. This isn't just about one number anymore. This is about how we do science, period. It suggests we see the world through a kind of human filter, and that our methods for measuring and describing things actually shape the reality we perceive. Think about it like this. The tools and frameworks we use don't just reveal reality. They help structure it for our brains. A ruler, a grid, a clock, they impose an order on the world. The very questions we decide to ask and the instruments we build to answer them actually guide the answers we end up getting. Yeah, it's almost like we're hardwired to slice and dice nature in a particular way. Our brains are pattern-seeking machines. We love finding divisions and categories. Science is just our most rigorous and successful system for doing that, but at the end of the day, it's still a profoundly human thing to do. So let's bring it all back. Why 137? Why did it become so important? Because it's the number that falls out of the specific way we chose to divide, describe, and quantify the electromagnetic force. In a very real sense, the number is a mirror. It doesn't just reflect the cosmos, it reflects our own methods for making sense of it. All of this points to a pretty massive shift in how we should think about these so-called fundamental constants. It's suggesting we should maybe move away from this idea of being passive discoverers and see ourselves as active participants in how these truths are framed. This really lays it all out, doesn't it? The old view is that the constant is a pure discovery, some objective truth out there that we just stumbled upon. But the new view frames it as a choice, a value that depends entirely on the human design systems we use for measurement and definition. So in the end, the fine structure constant isn't just telling us a story about the universe. It's also telling us a story about us. It's a powerful reflection of how the human mind creates structure and order to make sense of this incredibly complex world we live in.
And that leaves us with one last huge question to chew on. If the very numbers we use to describe reality are so wrapped up in our own human perspective, what is the universe really like on its own terms? What is its true, unmediated nature before we even show up and try to put a number on it?